Hello, this is Keith Owen. Welcome back to another tutorial. We're going to continue on our discussion regarding the Countifs function. And today we're going to be doing multiple things. First, we're going to use the Countifs function using the criteria of not equal to something. So in other words, in this example up here, we're going to be looking for the number of employees that do not exist in a Department of Operations and the number of employees that do not have the experience equal to at least 10 years. So that's one way that we could use it. The second thing that we're going to be discussing is how can we build a summary table from this data set using the Countifs function. We're going to be doing it with multiple criteria. We're going to get the count for number of employees that, for instance, that fall in the finance department, and also have the status of inactive. And we're going to build a summary table for all conditions. Then our last thing that we're going to be talking about is a practical example. How can we build a pie chart from this data set based upon, in this case, how many employees out of this entire data set have a status of inactive or active or probation. So we're going to be able to visualize that data there, and it's all going to be built with the Countifs function. So basically what I did was I used the data validation list here to create the list of departments out of this, get a unique list of departments out of this data set. And one way that you could do that is by using the shortcut key to get to the data validation dialog box. We press Alt A, V as in Victor, V as in Victor, and it brings up this dialog box. We want to build a list, so we select a list, and then where are we going to get this unique set of departments? Well, we want to select the range where that will exist in our data set. In this case, it's all within column D, and it's within this range here. So let's do that. Let's click OK. And that's how you build a data validation list. So it gives the user the opportunity of selecting what the right department, what exists in this data set itself. So let's first build a Countifs function using the static portion. So basically, up here in the formula bar, what do I mean by static? It means that I'm hard coding a criteria for it. So basically what I want to do for the first argument of Countifs is this right here. And basically what I want to do is I want to get a list of departments. So I select the entire range in my data set where all the departments reside. And then the second argument of the Countifs function in this case is, what am I going to be looking for? What's the criteria? So in other words, if I want to look at the list of departments, what do I want to include or exclude? In this case, I want to exclude the employees that do not exist in the Department of Operations. So in this case, I'm using two double quotes, and I'm typing in the less than and greater sign together. That to Excel means that it's not equal to something. So this reads not equal to operation. So let's select all the employees that do not reside in the Department of Operations. The second criteria is I want to also, out of those employees that don't exist in operations, I want to select the employees out of that result set that do not have an experience level of 10 years. So it's going to select anything above or below 10 years. And that's how we do this as a hard coding. Again, it resides, it's text, and it resides in two double quotes. And I'm putting the not equal operator with the number. So that's how so let's press escape. So this is how we come up with 75. So how do we verify that this Countifs function is working? Let's go to the data set. Let's bring up the filters for this data set, and you do that by Shift Control L. And as you can see, it turns on these filters here. Again, I'm using Microsoft 365 in a Windows environment. So let's look at this. Let's filter the departments first. We want to select everything, but except operations. So let's include everything but operations. Okay, that's the criteria number one. Criteria number two is let's select everything not equal to 10. So let's go over to the experience column. Let's select everything except 10. Click OK. Now, let's select all these records, Control Shift down arrow, and if you look in the status bar down below it, we have a count of 75. Scroll back up here, and as you can see, that's the same number that the Countifs function brought back. So we know that it's working correctly. So let's clear the filters. Let's go over to this filter button and let's clear that. Let's also clear for the experience. Clear filter for experience. Now let's build the same formula. Okay, same criteria, but this time it's going to be a dynamic version of it. So what do I mean by dynamic? Meaning that the criteria is now going to look for the criteria value in a single cell or cell reference. So as we change these values in here, then this will update itself. So let's look at this formula. Go in the formula bar. Again, the same thing exists. First argument, we're looking for all the departments, okay? Second criteria or second argument, we're going to be looking for not equal to the value in this cell right here. So first of all, we have to put the not equal sign in double quotes. We have to concatenate that using the ampersand sign. And then we type in the cell value. In this case, cell value or criteria resides in D5. We're going to fix that. So if we want to copy this formula somewhere else, then that value is always going to be fixed to cell D5 because we're fixing the column and the row number with it. Second criteria, again, we're looking for the number of years, and the number of years will be found in the experience column here. And then dynamically, we're going to be looking for the value that exists over here, cell D6. Again, we have to put the not equal sign in double quotes. It says text value. We concatenate that with the ampersand sign, and we point into a reference what we want to do. And let's press escape out of there. So let's go ahead and change this. Let's change this to marketing. And as you can see, this value changed. Let's type in a value of 15. And it goes over here. So let's double check how this is working. So we're looking for all the employees that do not exist in the marketing department. So let's select everything except marketing. And then we want to select the experience not equal to 15. So let's select everything except for year 15. Okay, Now let's see, Control Shift down arrow selects all the rows in the data set, and we get a count of 82. So let's go scroll back up here, and as you can see, the value is equal to 82. Let's press escape out of there. Let's clear the filters. Let's also clear a filter for experience. Now I'm going to do a single criteria using not equal to a certain date. So right here is 2/15. I manually typed it in. So this basically is in this cell right here. So let's go up here. Let's see what this is. So we're looking for all employees that do not have a start date or join date of 2/15/2017 in this data set. So our first argument is going to be the join date count. Okay, that's why we selected that range. The second argument is our criteria, meaning that we want to be able to look for employees that have a start date, in this case, not equal to the value in this cell right here. So that's what that is. Let's press enter. So we get a return number of 99. Now, what you have to think about too, this cell right here has to be formatted as a date, and all the values in this column also have to be formatted as a date. So let's see if this number is correct. So right now, there's control down arrow. We have basically 100 employees, as you can see, over by this value here, 100 employees in here. Let's go back up, scroll over here. Okay, let's figure this out with the filtering. So let's go over to the date field, and we want to select everything not equal to that February date. So it was 2017, and we don't want to include anything less than what was that value. But in this case, as you can see, there's only dates in here that are February or forward for that year. So basically, we want to exclude everything in the year 2017. Let's click OK. And what happens is, let's Control Shift down arrow, get a count. Well, let's go back up here. Go back up here. Selected the wrong thing. We want to do that. Now, Control Shift down arrow. As you can see, we have a count of 99. And if we go back up, that's the number that we got here. So that's how we could use the not operator with the Countifs function. Now let's go ahead and build this summary table that I was talking about. Let's go over here. Let's ungroup these columns. And what we're going to be doing is we're going to be building this summary table over here. So basically what we're looking for is we want to find the number of employees for each department that have a status equal to active, inactive, and probation. Now the status over here, we're going to dynamically build all of this here. So let's go over here. Let's get a unique list of all the statuses in this data set. Let's go over here. Let's first do it with a unique function. And the array is, we're going to select all the values in the status column. Control backspace to bring it back here. Now let's close out of here. So what that does, what Excel automatically does, it's going to take it and spill the results in the column that are in one row across multiple columns. So let's first now, after we get the unique statuses. Now let's sort it in alphabetical order. Use the sort function. We're gonna feed this sort function the unique array here. And as you can see here, the square brackets around the next argument mean that they're optional. So basically, since we only have one column of data, the sort index is automatically going to default to 1 because we only have one column of data here. And the same thing with sort order. Sort order is automatically going to default to ascending if we don't specify it. So I'm not going to use these optional arguments. Let's close out the sort function. And now you can see the statuses are sorted in alphabetical order. Now, how do we get this to spill over into one row across multiple columns? We could use the transpose function. Close out that. As you can see, it spits it out into one row across multiple columns. Now let's get a unique list of all the departments. We could use the unique function again. Oop. Get the list of departments. Control Shift down arrow, Control backspace to bring us back to where the formula lies. So that's the unique list. Now let's put this in alphabetical order. Let's go back to where the formula lies. Let's start with sort again. We're going to feed it the results of the unique function. Again, we're not going to use the optional arguments because it's automatically going to default to sorting on the first column because there's only one column in this array and it's going to be alphabetical order. So now it's all in alphabetical order. Now, how do we get the count, in this case, in this cell, the number of employees that are part of the finance department, but also have an active status? So let's use the Countifs function here. Criteria range 1, we want to find all the departments, okay? Let's go over back here to this data set. Let's go back here, Control Shift down arrow. Oops. Control backspace. We want to fix this, meaning that we always want to look for the departments in the same range. So we're going to press F4. It fixes the row and it fixes the column. The criteria for that is we want to be able to look in this range for Department of Finance. So we want to select this. Now, as we copy this down and over, we always wanted to look in column O, but as we copy it down, we wanted to be able to select HR or IT. So this is where we fix the column but have a relative row. Okay. Now, our second criteria range is we want to look for all the statuses. So we go to the status column, Control Shift down arrow, Control backspace. We want to fix this entire range. And the criteria itself is going to lie within these three values here. So we're going to select the first one. In this case, since we're going to be copying it over, we wanted to fix the row, but leave the column relative. So press F4, fix the row to 2. Let's do that. And we get value. So we'll check the values in a second, but let's copy this down. And let's copy this over. Okay. We're going to check these values, spot check them in a second, but let's get a total for each one here. We select the value here. Let's use the shortcut key for summing value, Alt equal, and press enter. And what this does is Excel automatically determines within this range that the values that we want to sum starts here and goes up to this here. So that's how that works. Let's copy this over, dragging this over. Okay, now let's spot check this. Let's go back here. So we're looking for HR and we're looking for active. HR and active. So let's go over here. HR department. Deselect this and we only want HR. And out of all the employees in HR, we want to have the active status. So let's go over to here, deselect, select all, and only select active. Okay. And let's see, we need to get rid of this filter, join date. Let's clear this. Let's see, we have a status. And here, and as you can see, it returns 3 rows. So let's go over here. And as you can see, it returns 3 rows. That's what it did. So we know that this is working right. So that's how you could build a summary table using the Countifs. Now let's go and see how we could build a pie chart. Let's clear this filter here. So clear this. Okay. Now let's go over here. Let's collapse this. Now let's build a pie chart out of this. So pie charts show proportions of a whole. So in other words, it shows a proportion of this data set that we have over here to the left. And in this case, we're going to show the distribution of employees by status. Let's get the correct spelling for that. And so what we want to do is we want to get a unique list of statuses. Let's build a unique list again. Go over here. Space. So that's the unique. Let's also sort it in alphabetical order. Let's build it, adding the sort functions that. And we're not going to use the optional arguments. Now it's in alphabetical order. Now we want to get the number of employees, okay, that have an active status, number of employees for inactive, and so on. So let's use the Countifs function in this case. Criteria range is the status column, because that's what we're looking for. Throw backspace. We want to fix that range because we're going to be copying it down. Criteria is going to equal to this value here, and we want to fix this. Now we're going to be copying it down, so it's going to stay the same. It's going to reside in the same column. So we want to fix the column, but keep the row relative. Press F4. So we fix the column, the row is relative. Press close out the function. Okay, let's copy this down. Again, let's spot check this. Let's look for all employees that have an active status. So it's equal to 33. Select active, press Control. Let's Control Shift down arrow. And we get a count here. We'll get the bottom right in the status bar. It says count to 33. So we know that it's working. Let's clear this filter. Okay, now we got our summary data that we could use to build the pie chart. So let's select the summary data. Let's go up to Insert, and we want to select the pie chart. Okay. Put this over here. Okay, now let's create a pie chart. I mean, the pie chart is already created, but let's format it for that. So what we want to do is we want to show the data labels. So we select the series itself, Control 1, and actually, what we want to do is right-click, add data labels, and as you can see, the data labels are on the inside. Let's put them on the outside. So let's select the data labels, Control 1. Excel automatically uses the best fit, but this time we want to put it on the outside. So it puts it on the outside. And then what we want to do, let's see. So that's that. And the separator, let's also show the values. So we want to show the category names. So we want to select, check mark the category names. As you can see, it puts the category next to it. And let's put the actual number down below the category. And we could use that using the separator under label options. And we want to put it as a new line. So that's what that does. Let's close out of here. Let's format this. The data labels are selected. Let's go to home. Let's bold it, maybe increase the size a little bit. Okay, that's that. Now we could get rid of the legend. Click on the legend, click delete, and it does that. As you can see, some labels will overlap into the plot area. But sometimes this plot area is hard to select. If you have a hard time doing that, select the chart, okay, Control 1, chart options up here, and let's select the plot area. So let's decrease the size of that a little bit. And as you can see, it now puts a space between the data label and the plot area. So let's do one more thing. Let's change the color. Let's go to chart design, over change colors on the top left, and let's select the monochromatic. Let's select this. Okay, and let's just change the chart. So this is distribution of employees by status. So I know this tutorial was quite long, but hopefully this gave you an idea of another way you could use Countifs within your data set. Now you could build summary tables from your data set using Countifs, and also a practical example of how you could visualize the data that you have using a Countifs function. I want to thank you again for stopping by. You have a great day. Please subscribe to the channel. And as always, please like and comment on this video. I appreciate your support. And I'll see you on the next video. Bye now.